I'm just going to show you a little bit of one demo. So I've got a skull. It's a skull I modeled a while ago to try and do something that was a little bit more of a photorealistic skull compared to a commonly accessible open source skull. And here I have a generative target object. On this object, I technically only have 3 modifiers active. One is get object, which is basically taking the skull, so we can reference it. Then we have multi-layer shell, which is a geometry node, which we're going to take a look at a little bit. And then down here, we've got solidify, which is only active in the viewport at the moment, but it basically just gives a little bit of thickness to it afterwards. So from nothing to solidified. So as you can see, I've basically just been working on this multi-layer shell effect where we take an input mesh and then we generate something that's got 2 layers. The interesting thing is the patterns of these layers are entirely controlled via image mask inputs and mapping such as triplanar mapping. So right now I was just scrubbing the scale on the inner pattern. As you can see though, it's also been remeshed, but that does allow for some interesting stuff that would be very difficult to model otherwise. But let's say, for example, I change the image texture to something like a circle pattern, then we'll get circles going on underneath. So the point of the Generators Lab pack has always been to help you do some weird generative stuff with target meshes. But again, given the biogen has changed, I want to make it a bit more usable and a bit higher quality. So that's effectively what I'm doing. I'm just kind of turning these techniques into tools that can be picked up from the asset browser. Let's take a look at the outer shape now. So I've got 2 mapping methods. I've got triplanar. So triplanar is going to try and project the mask from, 3 major directions, hence the tri. And we can affect the scale of that as well. So if I scale that up, you see what's happening here. I'm sure people can think of all different kinds of things you could do with that. Again, we can change that. So if I went for the pipe panels pattern, that'd make that all liney as well. So you could literally draw out these masks in anything you like and bring them in. I don't have many masks available to me for the testing, but there you go. Because it's remeshed, it will try to blend the result together a little bit. But there's also the scatter map method, which is much more random, but I need to scale that up. So it's less of an obvious projection, much more randomized, reminiscent of things like our hex scatter. We can also blend the edges a little bit as well, which will slightly change the result. So you end up being able to get like a infinite number of variations just based on the input masks and the parameters you want to use.